Hello and welcome to writing for this week. This is Monday. This is a video you should be watching for Monday, March 30th. And this week in writing, we're going to continue working on our historical person report. Now, it's going to be changed and modified quite a bit because obviously we're not here to work together on it. So what I've done is I've taken what would have been a 3-paragraph report and reworked it to a 1-paragraph report. One well-written, lengthy paragraph, more of like an essay on this historical person. So last week you worked on your pre-research organizer, which was the sheet of paper that had the Roman numerals for each of the 3 original paragraphs you were to research about. First paragraph was this person's childhood and family life. The second paragraph was this person's education and occupation, and the third paragraph was the person's effect on history. So you're now ready, and you've also written your bibliography cards, which I have. You're now ready to start taking notes from your sources. But as I said, I've changed up and scaled down what it is you need to research. So I'm going to walk you through what your research is going to look like and how you're going to record that on your note cards. So you will need, when you're taking notes from your sources, you will need your 4x6 note cards. Those are the larger note cards, and you're going to need 4 of those at least, because I'm going to have you answering 4 major questions as you do your research. So let me show you how you would set up your note card. So here's the projector, and you can see that I've taken my note card, and for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to use Ferdinand Magellan as an example. Remember, he was one of the explorers that we studied way back at the beginning of the year. And let's say I was going to do a report on Ferdinand Magellan, just use him as an example. I'm going to go ahead and put his name up at the top. And then this is question number 1, which I'll in a minute show you what the question relates to. So, as I said, there will be 4 questions that you will be answering on 4 different note cards. So why don't you take a minute to pause the video and go ahead and make 4 note cards with, again, the 4x6 larger note cards with your historical person's first and last name, and then a number 1 on the first card. On the second card, you're going to set it up exactly the same, except for you're going to put number 2. And on the third card, exactly the same, number 3. And on the fourth card, your historical person's first and last name and a number 4. So take a moment to do that, and then I will show you what is going to go on those 4 cards. Okay, so now I'm going to pull up the screen here and show you what you should be focusing on researching and taking notes on. So for card number 1, I want you to go through your sources. It doesn't matter, I think you have at least 2 sources. You should have at least 2. And looking through those sources, on the first card, you're going to answer the question, who was this person? So, for example, if I were researching Ferdinand Magellan, I would say that he was a Portuguese explorer. Where did he or she live? Well, then you would answer, in a complete sentence, Magellan actually was born in Portugal and lived most of his life there. When did he or she live? Well, that would be the years, the year that they were born and the year that they died. So that's pretty straightforward. That's what goes on card number 1 in complete sentences. For card number 2, what was this person's job? Now, in this section, you are going to be answering what were their main jobs. Now, for Magellan, he worked in the Navy for a number of years. He was a sailor, and then, of course, he eventually worked as an explorer for the King of Spain. So that would be, how you would answer what was this person's job or jobs. Now, some of the people that some of you are assigned to had multiple jobs. For example, George Washington or Thomas Jefferson. So you may not be able to write every single job that they had, narrow it down to 2 or 3, but you should have at least a couple of sentences here describing what this person's job was, or occupation or role. Card number 3, what did this person accomplish during their lifetime? So, and card number 4 is very similar. Why do we remember this person? and what effect did this person have on our history? So those are very similar, but yet let's pick it apart here. For card number 3, what did this person accomplish during their lifetime? So if I were writing a report or an essay, I guess we could say, on Magellan, I would just look at what were his major accomplishments. And his major accomplishment was that he manned the first expedition to completely sail around the world. Now, we know that he himself didn't make it all the way around the world. He died in the Philippines. But he is credited with that because he was the captain of that voyage. So what did your historical person accomplish that was so remarkable during their lifetime? Again, if it's George Washington, there are a lot of accomplishments. He was the first U.S. president. He also was the general of the Continental Army during the American Revolution, and so on. But you should be able to write a couple of sentences about this person's accomplishment. And then on card number 4, why do we remember this person and what effect did this person have on our history? So, if I think back to Magellan, why do we remember him and what effect did he have on history? Well, we remember him because he was really credited as manning the first expedition to go east by sailing west. He was actually successful with that. We also remember him and the effect he had on history because he was the first person to name the largest ocean in the world, which is the Pacific Ocean. He also discovered the Strait of Magellan, which is at the tip of South America. And again, he was the first person to man a voyage successfully all the way around the world. So those would be, his effects on history and why we remember him. So this week, I'd like for you to take your 4 cards and your 2 sources and read and skim through your sources and answer these questions on these individual cards in complete sentences. Now, please remember, we're not plagiarizing. We're not copying word for word. Remember, the best way, or one of the best ways, is when you find information that answers one of these questions, read it several times, close the book, and then, put it in your own words. Think about how you could put that in your own words. And try to answer the sentences, or answer the questions with sentences, without looking back. Put it in your own words. We can't copy word for word. So that's your assignment, and that's how you're going to be taking notes from your sources at home. It's very different than what it would be if you were here with me in class. It's very scaled down, but I think you should be able to do this with the sources that you have. So maybe you want to focus on 1 card and set of questions a day with your sources. So for today, you could get started with card number 1. Again, take your 4x6 card with your person's name and the number 1 in the corner. Comb through your sources, skim, look, use the index if you need to, the table of contents, and in complete sentences, answer all the questions for card number 1. And on Tuesday, you can move on to card number 2. It's just 1 question, but I would imagine you'd have several answers. For card number 3, that could be Wednesday, and card number 4 could be Thursday. Now, I'd like for you, when you are finished with all of these, to spread them out on a table, and I'd like for you to get a picture of all 4 of the cards with your complete sentences. You don't need to write the question on your card. I have the questions. What I need to see is a picture of all 4 cards with complete sentence answers to those questions, and your parents can email that to me by next Monday. So that gives you a solid week to take notes from sources in your own words and get a picture of all 4 of those cards and have those sent to me. And then I can give you feedback based on that. And then the next step would be putting these facts together to create a paragraph. So that's your assignment for writing this week. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have fun.